is this actually the path that God is leading us down? Can we talk about this and share our concerns, share our hopes, and figure out where God is leading us together as a couple? And that not only gives us the opportunity to be in God's will, but it also draws us closer together. Do you find yourself wondering if this is all marriage has to offer? Are you so busy and exhausted at the end of the day that your marriage is the last thing you have energy to think about?
If you're wondering if God has more for your marriage, you've come to the right place. Welcome to the Living Marriages Podcast. My name is Aaron, pastor and marriage coach.
And I'm April, spiritual director and marriage coach. Join us as we explore simple habits for building intimacy with your spouse while learning what it means to center your marriage on Christ.
Thanks so much for joining us on the Living Marriages Podcast. Just a quick reminder, if you haven't had the opportunity yet, to please hit like on whatever streaming service you're listening to, and encourage your friends and family. If you've been finding value in this podcast, we'd love it if you were to share the good news of the Living Marriage Podcast with them as well. Well, April, this episode kind of came from a very real place today, where we were sitting down to record. We thought we had an idea. We thought we had an idea that God gave us, and it quickly became clear that not going in that direction.
Yeah, we were feeling a little lost and disjointed, even when we started recording, and we were like, there's just something that's not feeling quite right about this right now.
Mm-hmm. And I think part of what we both heard God saying is just speak into the period of life you're in right now, even speak into this moment you have of uncertainty, because we have been journeying through uncertainty. For those of you who've been listening to the podcast for a while will know in the last several months we've been in yet another period of transition for our family. And with transition always comes uncertainty. And it feels like God was inviting us to just share a little bit about how we've navigated that uncertainty, for better and for worse, and how God has brought us to this point of sharing what we're sharing with you today.
Yeah, I think even just this morning talking about what we were going to share with you and what God had for us to share with you. There was an idea that we had a long time ago, and Aaron had written out some notes, and he could have just put his foot down and said, well, this is what we said we were going to talk about. We got to stick with it and figure it out. And believe me, we tried for probably 20 minutes at least to figure out how to talk about the topic that we had planned.
Yeah.
And if Aaron had put his foot down and said, no, this is what we're doing, I don't think it would have been what God wanted us to talk about today.
No. And so something really neat happened. We took a break, hit stop on the recording device here, hit erase. And then we went away for, a couple minutes each, and we're praying. And what you heard in prayer, April, was very similar to what I heard in prayer as well. And it was, speak about where you're at right now, this journey that you're on right now. And so maybe part of it is talking about uncertainty, and that season of life that we're in, and that we know that several of our listeners are in as well. But maybe part of this episode is to talk about, too, what are some of the godly ways we can walk with God and with each other through uncertainty. And so maybe one of the very first things we would say, and we had this way back, I believe in episode 4 with our good friend, Pastor John Littlejohn, talked about a practice him and his wife would do, where there were times of discernment and times of uncertainty, trying to really hear from God. They would take time apart and pray and really listen for what God was doing. And we experienced that in a microcosm here. And it was so cool, actually, to come back together and said, I feel like God was saying. And I was like, oh, I feel exactly the same way. So let's pursue that together.
And I think this is just a small example of what could be bigger things in our lives too. This morning, where God invited us into the present moment, where we were struggling around in circles, trying to figure things out for ourselves. And he's like, be grounded, be here, be in this moment, because when we're going through times of uncertainty, if we're just talking over each other or even talking past each other, if we don't understand what the other person is trying to communicate, we forget to be grounded in God and grounded in what he is calling us to together and walking down that path with him and towards him together. It doesn't mean we won't have conversations. It doesn't mean we won't disagree on things on that journey. But it felt like this morning, after talking in circles for a while, it just felt really good to be grounded and to be brought to that present moment where God was saying, do this. This is what I have for you right now.
And I think part of that involves being able to lay down my agenda and because honestly, I thought I'll say it. I thought I had an amazing illustration.
I thought you did too.
For the topic I thought we were going to talk about. And then as we started talking more about it, and I'm so grateful that we were able to have honest conversation about that, where neither of us were getting offended about it. But we came to the point where it felt like this is a great illustration in search of a topic. And we're trying to make the topic fit that illustration. Just realized, none of this is working. And I thank God that my heart was in a place to hear that, to receive that, and to recognize that. It's like, oh no, I need to submit that. And it brings me back to the passage in Ephesians 5, I believe it is, where it's the great marriage passage that Paul talks about, and the controversial marriage passage too, that I'm sure we will get into exploring soon here on the podcast. But that whole passage starts with submit to one another out of reverence for Christ. And it felt like we're actually doing that this morning. It's like, I'm not sure what's going on here. And instead of digging in, we're like, no, let's submit this. I'm submitting it, April, to your wisdom and your thought. What do you hear? What are you sensing? And you were submitting it back to me and saying, well, have we explored this side? Have we explored? And we were exploring that for a while. But in reverence to Christ, we just had to submit the entire thing and say, this doesn't make any sense. But this feels like what God has for us right now. And so it feels like Ephesians 5 in practice right there. Submit to one another out of reverence for Christ, and he'll give you a podcast episode.
And as you're saying that, I'm like, how often in life moves so quickly. We live in a society that doesn't know how to slow down most of the time. It's the pressures around us are many, and it means that often we don't have time to stop and think. And I almost feel like we can get pulled down this road that we realize later on, oh, wait, this wasn't the right thing.
Yeah.
And it didn't turn out very well because it wasn't. And next time, I'm not going to say what if, because we can't change the past. But if we stop and think next time, what if we put on the brakes? And slow down, maybe screech to a halt if we need to, and consider, is this actually the path that God is leading us down? And can we talk about this and share our concerns, share our hopes, and figure out where God is leading us together as a couple? And that not only gives us the opportunity to be in God's will, but it also draws us closer together as a couple.
As you're saying that, it brings me back. My mind can't help but flash back to the memory of being in a car dealership.
Oh, yeah.
We were looking for a second vehicle and buying a new car, which I don't know if we'll do again. And there's good reasons for that. If you have bought a new car, don't fret. But go listen to our friend Bob Loddick at seedtime.com on his wisdom about buying cars in dealerships and new cars. But we were in a place where you talked about that frenetic pace. And hey, any car salesman out there, we know it's a hard job. If you're listening, we know it's a hard job. I used to be in sales myself. And we know that, but a lot of those sales tactics are designed to keep the pressure up and keep pushing you forward. And we got pushed into a corner where what we should have done is exactly what you're saying, April. Stop, drop, and pray. Like we should have said, we'll come back tomorrow. We're going to just take the night and pray about this and seek the Lord together and apart on this. Is this the right thing for us and our family? And are we stewarding the resources God's given us at this time? But instead, those high-pressure sales tactics and us both being Enneagram 9s, wanting to not disappoint someone and keep the peace, we're like, ooh, okay, I guess this is what we're doing.
We almost did that with a timeshare, too.
Oh!
Thankfully, we didn't actually. We actually stopped. I don't know if any of you out there have purchased a timeshare before, but we got pretty close.
Yeah, high pressure again. We just don't, we know ourselves now. Don't go into high pressure situations. But I think those are a couple stories where it's just illustrative of God saying, hey, I exist outside of time. Will you come and seek me for the life that I am living together with you in time? But there's no rush. It's like, okay, can we pause? Can we talk with each other? Can we say we want to be on the same page with God and with each other, and find ways and maybe defer to the other as well, saying, hey, April, this is your area of expertise. Can I ask you for your wisdom and insight into this? And I'm happy to hear what your understanding of this and vision of this is. And I'm willing to go with that, or vice versa.
Definitely.
And most of all, in all of this, though, can we submit to Christ and submit to one another out of reverence for Christ? So I didn't know this episode was going to turn into a little bit of a illustration of Ephesians 5. But it seems that's where God is taking us, and it feels like I hope and pray that this episode will bless you wherever you're at. Maybe you have some uncertainty you're facing, and you need to stop, drop, and pray.
And connect.
And connect. Connect with each other. Connect with the Lord. And if we trust, and we're going back to a few episodes that we did a while ago about who we believe God to be. If we believe God to be good, and we believe God to be the one who reveals himself to us and talks to us, then we can trust him to reveal his heart to us separately, so that when we come together, we can find unity.
And talking about that urgency of sales, and sometimes other things in life feel urgent. Like we need to make a decision about this right now, or else it's going to be gone.
Yeah.
And I'm reminded of what God says about that he is our good father, that he has good gifts for us. And in our hurry to grab that snake, we might miss out on the bread that he has for us. Yeah. And so we need to stop. We need to find peace in knowing that he is our provider, and that this world offers us things that might feel good, but may not be the best and what God has for us.
So please do join us on the Thursday Thought, which will be episode 74, where we'll explore this idea some more in reflection and prayer, and we will take time to stop, drop, and pray. So until next time, God bless.
Thank you for the privilege of journeying with you today as we seek God's best for our marriages.
Before you go, if you've been blessed, challenged, or inspired by what you've heard today, please bless us by hitting the follow button, leaving us a review on Apple Podcasts or Spotify, and sharing this podcast with family and friends.
You can also support this nonprofit podcast by making a charitable donation at our website, livingmarriages.com.
Until next time, praying the life, intimacy, and connection of God's love over you and your marriage.